Welcome to the Hindo from the Fridge podcast.
We're here.
We got Michael Smith, local real estate investor, with us today. And just chatting about everything humanly possible.
Yeah. So Michael,
Oh, and
there's
Brian.
an interesting, yeah, I'm here too. Michael
Yeah, but you're supposed to be here, so
was
it's different.
saying that you used to work for Bad Boy Records.
Well, let's start. So Mike's a real estate investor full time. That's what you do, right?
I do.
All right.
I definitely do that.
Yeah.
All day, every day.
All day, every day. What's a good project you got going on right now?
So right now we're doing a 14,000 square foot storage facility in Waynesville, getting that off the ground. Fielding offers for every aspect of that, solidifying so that we can, ideally get an ROI in about 7 to 10 years. But I think from a long-term perspective, everybody needs a place to put their shit. So they're never going to go out of style.
Well, there's one thing you should know about me is that my wife likes to collect shit. So, I mean,
That's right.
So do I.
So you're especially if you have kids, because what happens is you accumulate a bunch of the things that you thought your kids wanted, and then they played for it for like a day.
Yeah, they don't want.
And they ended up in the attic or the basement or some other netherland in your house, and you either give it away or you feel like you have to keep it, and then eventually you have to figure out a place to put it.
so was this an existing business that you purchased? And then you're just trying to improve it, and then it's a long-term hold for you?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, we just came upon it. We were doing some investments down in Waynesville, right off of Jay Creek, which is right there where it enters Maggie Valley. And we had an Airbnb there, and surprisingly, when they listed it incorrectly. They listed it as a residential house, but it also came with an open-use lot, which was an acre. And it was adjacent to an existing storage facility, which was pretty much 100% occupied. So we're basically going to tap into their already existing marketing and roll it over into a new facility. Ours will be temperature controlled, so we expect to get a higher increase in per square foot rent.
Yeah. That's a big thing these days, right? The temperature control.
If you want to make money, yeah.
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 You want one of these?
Oh, surely.
Believe it or not, that's what I did before this. I insured a ton of self-storage buildings. And I will tell you, because you get to see their income,
Yeah.
it's always incredible.
It's bananas.
It's like, it's got to be the best ROI for building expense,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, what's the
Well, they typically,
build expense? 45, 50 dollars a square foot?
for temperature control, about $40 a square foot.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
Yeah.
On average, it also depends on what class you're talking about. Like this
Right.
is not a stick built. This is kind of metal framing. I mean, it's probably the lower end. It's probably
That's how they're
class
all
B
made,
per
other than
se.
they're really like the
Yeah.
The super high-end ones with like elevators and stuff.
yeah
Right.
the
Yeah, and those will sell.
higher
the
levels.
ones you're referring to will sell at like a 1 or 2 cap, which is even more crazy.
oh no, it's insane.
But ours is probably going to just be strictly metal, temperature controlled. Probably more of what you've seen around this particular area. But
Yeah.
they're still going to sell like probably a 4 cap if we needed to ever exit.
So one of the things I think of when I think about that type of business model is the laundry service business, right? So with me being a mortgage banker, I've 11 years in the business, probably 5,000 loans I've touched. I haven't originated them all, but in my management role, I see a lot of people doing laundromats, and they're awesome businesses because the depreciation offsets all of the taxable income.
Damn right.
Oh yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
So is that the same when
equipment.
it comes to these storage facilities? Like, do you have great depreciation? Would you look
Yeah.
at a cost segregation
you
study?
you could do a cost segregation on this, but ultimately, I wouldn't do it year one. I mean, you could, but it also depends on your financing. So, I mean, I would imagine we'll probably do it in like year 3. That would be my estimation.
So for those who don't know, and you probably will be able to explain it best, what is a cost segregation study? How does it work?
You essentially take all of your deductions immediately,
Right.
more or less. So
Right.
instead of over the course of a traditional would be like a 29 year or whatever, for a residential, let's just say,
Right.
you're going to take all of your depreciation in 1 year,
Right.
which means that you don't necessarily. So if you make a lot of if you make a lot of money
Yeah.
in 1 year,
Somewhere else.
Come a little closer to the mic.
so if you make a lot of money,
Put
if
the
you-
headphones on.
yeah, if you have to offset your income, easiest thing to do is just do a cost segregation for that year.
Yeah.
But you don't want to do it every year just because you might it's kind of like it's like your bank, more or less. Does that make sense? It's kind of
Yeah.
like a bank. So unless you really need it this year, then there's no point in using it.
Yeah. So think about this. If, let's say you're a W-2 employee, this is where a lot of W-2 employees and even, high earning self-employed people use this strategy. Let's say you have a doctor and their taxable income is $700,000 a year, right? So now they're going to be paying 40%. The numbers are going to be a little off. 40% of the 700,000. Let's just call it. They have to pay $300,000 in IRS tax liability on the federal side alone. They'll do a cost segregation study on a commercial property. They'll depreciate everything in 1 year, and they're going to wash all of their taxable income out. Now they saved $300,000 that would go to the IRS. Here you are. Now you have $300,000 more to play with. So
then you go buy something else, and then next year you cost segregate it. So
Same thing.
it's a vicious
again.
cycle, and that's how people build wealth. So, this is some of the stuff that, the general public doesn't understand. And it's like the best wealth building tools is to keep your money away from the IRS.
Damn right.
Yeah, save 40% a year. I mean, what else do you want to do?
Yeah.
And really, the easiest way of doing it is real estate. I mean,
That's right.
it really is.
I
don't know.
I don't
There's
know.
not even a better one to do. There's impossible. Because even laundromats. What you're doing, you're depreciating the assets, the real estate of the laundromat. I mean, it's the same thing.
the machines, like
Right.
this guy, his taxable income was a couple $100,000 a year. He had a couple $100,000 a year that he depreciated just in machine maintenance. It's
Oh, I
insane.
never even thought about
That's
that.
crazy.
I
Yeah.
never even thought about that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, those things are expensive. Those commercial units are like 10
yeah.
You
grand
can
a
like
piece.
lease them now too, which is like even, incredible. You just lease the machines right off the lease. It's the same kind of concept.
But I think that the years of trying to get a good deal on a laundromat are behind us because the internet has told everybody in the world it's the best business model.
Yeah, I mean, they're also typically found in lower income neighborhoods, so
Yeah.
probably offsets it a lot, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you need the plus service, the wash and fold and all that if you want to do it. So, so cool. So you got that project going on. What else? Do you have any other projects that you're working on currently?
I just have a flip, and for the most part, for me, I'm just lead generation. So whether it be wholesaling the lead, or whether it be finding something for myself or you guys, hopefully,
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
And then I do the landscaping. So
Yeah, and we have a couple secret things we've been working on, but we can't even talk
big
about
secret.
Yeah. Yeah, he won't even tell me.
911.
yet. I've told you about one.
The the flipping. Everybody I talk to a lot of people that want to invest in real estate, and they're like, "Oh, I want to flip." It's not for everybody, right?
It's not.
No.
Like, what are some of the things that could be big risks? Is it hard to find deals? I know that with values going up, it's been a very hard to make a margin. Talk a little bit about that. I think it could be something cool for people.
Yeah, I tend to be very super conservative. So I tend to try to find deals that I know will sell, right? I'm not the guy that's going to go out there and try to rehab the $1 million house. Although some people would say, hey, that's the best market to be in, right? Because it's not
Yeah.
going to fail.
Yeah, there's a lot of people right now. Their theory is high end
Yeah,
is better because then you can dictate the market.
correct. But ultimately, those deals tend to take a lot longer, right?
A lot longer to rehab,
A
a lot longer to sell.
rehab, a lot longer dealing with subs, the process is longer. They should be bigger.
If you have to finance your hold period on your note
Holds periods longer.
Yep.
and eat your margin.
All right, eat your margin up. And it's hard to do that to scale too, right? So, but if you keep them under, typically you want to find what the average purchase price is, go 15, 20% below that, target that number, and then work your numbers backwards for an acquisition. And then you should be golden. You should do that. You should be able to do that to scale. You should be able to find people. There should be enough people that you can get in and out of jobs very quickly.
Yeah. And speed is essential.
Yes, money costs money. That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, very true. Yeah, and if you just stay under, I mean, the biggest problem with flipping and why, I mean, you spend all your time doing acquisitions is finding the right deal to buy for yourself.
How many deals do you guys have to sift through? Because Ryan is also an experienced flipper as well. How many deals do you guys have to sift through in order to find one that actually makes sense?
Man, it depends on if you're talking your own acquisitions or other people's. Like if you're trying to buy from a wholesaler or a realtor, I mean, how many wholesale deals that aren't yours you have to go through to find a deal? It's in the
I think
hundreds.
It has to be more of a pointed question too. 'Cause
Yeah.
As somebody that spends money for leads, I also have to keep the lights on, right? So I'm cherry picking the deals that I have a farm or a data, some type of infrastructure that I'm going to be able to capitalize on and move forward with. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not taking the other deals, which are still deals, and I'm not selling them or signing them.
That's the.
So I guess the answer to your question is I would say, I mean, I look at or underwrite at least 4 or 5 deals a day, and up to 4 or 5 deals, there might be one that has some traction.
Maybe.
Yeah. And probably, so given that those statistics, that means by the end of the week, I might have 6 that have some traction, but then we have to go ahead and now we have to talk to the seller about, hey, this is why, this is where we are in the market. Most people, some of these places are, it's not even up for debate. Like they obviously need work, and they just have to come to terms with it. And that's really what it comes down to, is trying to convey the right message to the seller so they feel good that it makes sense for somebody to want to buy it, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, of the 7, let's say you get 1. You get 1 contract or maybe 2 contracts a week per se. And then once you get the contract, does the person actually, have they been paying their bills, right? Is there any other liens out there that are going to make the deal defunct, right?
And that's, dude, I've gotten that far so many times on a great deal, and then we got $25,000 of liens and credit card debt on it, and then it just ruins the deal completely.
Right. Or you got to get creative. I mean, some of the liens you can get creative on, where you can take it like subject to, like the taxes they're there, but you don't necessarily have to pay them today, so we can kind of wash it over here, and you just do an exclusion on your title policy, which is another thing. Other solutions are like seller financing, where they'll just seller finance it to you, and then you'll figure it out later. So there are more creative options to do in those types of circumstances, but not all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I've learned a lot talking to Ryan about this. It's not my wheelhouse, although I've been around a lot of transactions. It's very interesting. Would you, if you're looking for these deals and you're going to get them yourself?
It's owner finance is the way to go if you're going to do that stuff.
You can do it.
Find some stuff
that's free and clear already.
Free and clear, and owner finance, and then there's a lot less questions, and I mean, just a lot less stuff going on.
Yeah.
But ultimately in this space, if you're not paying cash, probably looking at hard money or fix and flip higher rate loans is the way to enter.
Yeah, which is a great tool.
Yeah.
It's a great tool.
As long as it works in your
As long as it works
margin.
in your numbers, it's a fantastic tool. Especially working with good hard money guys. Not somebody that's trying to take the property, somebody that's just really just trying to see you succeed. Yeah, they're charging you high interest, okay? But in theory, if you only hold a 12% interest rate for half a year, what did you really pay?
Yeah, it's
you paid
cost of doing business, right?
Yeah, you paid the going rate, 6%. So it's more about your ability to perform than it is what their rate is.
Yeah, it's a great way to think about it.
Right? So hard money is the most fantastic tool you've ever found, quite frankly. The question is, are you able to perform? And that's where you have to ask yourself, do I have the resources, and who am I working with? Because I write hard money, I write them all the time. And I always tell my borrower, hey, we're here with you. Communication is the key, and we all know this. Communication, right? That's all that anybody ever wants. Bad news is the hardest news to give, but I'd rather give it to you than you wait for me to respond in 2 weeks and give you bad news, right? Because I know it's coming because you haven't talked to me in 2 weeks. I know it's coming.
Yeah.
We all know it's coming, but you can't face it, right? So communication and good news is the most important thing that you want to deliver. If you have to deliver bad news, do it very fast.
Yeah.
Because you have people that want to solve your problems and help you. But if you don't get there, you're going to have a bigger problem.
Yeah, that's why it's good to have a good partner.
There's a good book. I'm going to look it up right now and tell you who it's by, called Eat the Frog.
Eat the frog.
And the premise of the book, you know, much more than this, is eat that frog. Hold on.
Eat that frog.
Let's see.
These are for people that read.
Does it have warts?
It's a book.
By Brian Tracy.
Brian Tracy. All right.
Yeah. And it's basically,
90s? I love it.
it's basically a tool book, right? It tells you it says 21 great ways to stop procrastinating and get more done in less time.
Oh.
And procrastination is the biggest enemy. When you have bad news, one of the tips, I read this probably 10 years ago, when you have bad news to share with somebody, you know what the best time of the day to do it? Immediately. First thing in the morning.
Yep.
Eat the frog, give the bad news, let it rip.
Yep.
What you're going to do, and I've done this early in my career, was you sit behind the computer and you're like, I don't want to give this bad news.
Right? And you
Goodness, the
procrastinate.
appraisal came in $100,000 short. Well, then you wasted 6 hours.
Right.
But the way that somebody feels is no different 6 hours from now than it is the moment.
Yeah, you just don't want to give them the bad news. That's
I look at it a little differently. I look at it like, I don't have, the bad news is the bad news because you don't have a solution. That's why it's bad news.
Yeah.
The sooner you're able to give bad news to another person that may have a better solution, the faster you're able to start tackling it.
Yep.
And that's what I always think about in my mind is who knows the answer, right? Because delivering the bad news to somebody that knows what to do, it might be good news to them because they're waiting to solve that problem.
Yeah, you know, it's really, when we talk about real estate with this, on average, they say 24 people are involved in a transaction,
It's probably accurate.
a finance transaction.
It's probably accurate.
This is my world.
Yeah.
Listing agent, buyer's agent, assistants, title company,
Attorneys.
attorney,
Yeah.
processor, my underwriter, my setup person, my assistant. All these
Probably-
people are involved.
Transaction coordinator.
If you can get everybody thinking about a problem,
That's right.
imagine you have hundreds of years of knowledge, you know? So, great lesson. Eat the frog, right?
Eat the goddamn frog
The book is only $9.68 on Amazon.
and fry it first.
How much is it on Audible? Membership
uh,
only. There you go.
Membership only. If Brian Tracy, you get this, I would like some revenue from pushing your book.
Please send us
a check to the fridge.
10 copies to the fridge. So off of real estate, what did you do before real estate?
Awesome sauce. So I went
Because I know from you trying to help a little bit about the audio in this podcast,
surely.
how much you hate the fridge.
Yeah, it's a little tinny.
A little tinny.
It's a little
But
tinny.
hey.
But you know,
One of these years,
yeah.
we'll
So
do better.
I went to Penn State where I just kind of excelled at getting high and playing music. So that worked out. And then I played. I was a DJ, and I started getting into more production and studio
I
and
got
stuff
kicked
like
out
that.
of 3 bars in University of Pennsylvania.
Have you?
Yeah.
Penn State.
Penn State, yeah. 3 bars.
Yeah.
One night.
Fun town.
It's a great town, from what I remember.
Yeah, me too.
Which is probably very little.
It's very little. I got small moments, but ultimately it was a great experience. So, you know, I excelled at music, not traditional education. So I decided that instead of spending more money that I probably shouldn't have spent, I went down to Florida and I went to a place called Full Sail, which specialized in music and engineering. So I excelled at that, did that whole rodeo, and then my first.
Where's
boss-
For Sale? Orlando?
It's in Winter Park. It's
Okay.
a
Oh, that's
suburb
where-
of Orlando. Yeah.
That's Mac's stomping grounds.
Yeah, it's a great time. I mean, Orlando's a great town. So it's the House of the Mouse. Make sure Disney has been extremely
Yeah.
good at getting you in and out of Disney extremely fast with your pockets empty. They're very good at it.
No, dude. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an insane amount of money you got to spend to go
Yeah, and they know
hang
how
out
to
at
get it.
Disney for no reason.
Yeah, and they know how to get you in as fast as possible and out as fast. It's very efficient. So anyway, so my second gig out of that, I went back to Philly, and one of my friends was doing a record label, which I was initially part of, but that's a whole other story. And then got a gig over at Bad Boy. So I just walked into Bad Boy Studios, like, yeah, you're hired. And I
Bad
started
boy
out
for life.
yeah, and this was back when it was on Broadway at Daddy's House. It's closed now, and there's probably millions of stories about Daddy's House. It's probably like one of the biggest. Especially
And that's in
today.
Philly, the Daddy's house?
No, this is in Broadway in Manhattan.
Okay, yeah. All right,
yeah.
that makes sense. I was like,
So I just went in there, and it's kind of haphazard. It was back in the early 2000s. This was like when Making the Band was happening, and they were doing the Biggie Duets album. If you remember that album, they kind of did like a collab with different producers and then old Biggie verses.
stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my first job there was, they had stacked up. They were about to release, because these were all 2-inch tapes back in the day, right? The 2-inch, the
Yeah,
big reels.
recordings. Yeah.
Right, so they were about to start taking all of the 2-inch and then dumping it digitally into Pro Tools or whatever they were using back then. So my job was to load up all those old 2-inches onto the rack and then start dumping them into Pro Tools. That was my first gig there. So we would find these old big.
So it was just like old tapes of old stuff nobody's heard of.
Exactly. It
That's
was really crazy.
That's
so it
awesome.
was like old interludes of him just like
Yeah,
getting high and talking
oh,
shit and yelling
man.
at chicks and telling them like
That's
bring this and this
insane.
and that. Yeah, so that was my first gig, which
Oh, my
was insane because I
God.
feel like I was walking on eggshells because I grew up in the '90s and like
Dude,
he was like
first-
an icon.
First
Yeah.
gig, best gig.
Yeah,
Right.
so it was very kind of dreamy per se. I wouldn't feel like I was doing it, but ultimately, I got a gig as just being a traditional engineer, just doing tracking. Was on the Duets album. I didn't get any credit because I was obviously nobody, but it was a great time. And unfortunately, I had to do some other things, and I went a different direction. But it was a great time.
Yeah.
It was a great time, and I wouldn't.
Great
change it.
So,
memories.
dude, who
Great memories.
was in the studio? Like, who was
Oh, man.
who were you recording?
So my first big session was this guy named Punch, and he was a cool dude. He was always working out, so that's kind of where I got the workout bug because he was always trying to do something working out. Another good one was Paul Wall.
Wow.
Paul Wall was there, and he kept messing up. So the mic was all messed up, so I kept going in, like giving him motivation. There was a lot of people. Busta Rhymes came in. Like I got stories about Busta Rhymes where he came in. We didn't know what was going on, but like we eventually figured out that like he wasn't going to do anything until Diddy paid him. Like that was kind of like the vibe. Mobb
So what do you mean? So like he'd come to the studio, Busta would come to the studio, and
This
he
is one
wouldn't
time.
do
It
anything.
just was one time. So
Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
was,
yeah,
like-
yeah.
So the studio events were like a party. Keep this in mind, right? There's like
Well,
mad.
I mean, we're in the
Yeah,
the
this
age
is
of
this is
the
like early
Diddy
2000s,
party.
right?
It's all falling apart now.
Right. This is like the early 2000s. So like when there's a session, like during the day it's not as crazy, but like during the day, like there's a lot of people in there. You got the producers in there. You got the A&Rs in there, Harv Pierre, and I can't remember the bald dude's name, but everybody's in the room, and then they're tracking. Somebody brought a beat in. One of the producers brought a beat in. It was usually D-Dot. The Hitmen. I don't know if you know who the Hitmen are. Like Stevie J.
Okay, yeah.
They made most of the songs.
Yeah,
back in the
most of
day.
the beats.
Yeah, and then there would be an artist come in, and they would just like try it. Like they would try it, right? They'd be like, hey, you spit on this one, or hey, you drop a verse on this one. So there's one time Busta was there. He came in, and looked around, and then walked out. I was like, oh, that's strange. And then it just and we
Escalated from there.
Yeah, it escalated from there, and everybody kind of it was like, hey, he's not coming in here unless you pay him. And that's just how he was, which is probably a thing, right? It's like
So
hey,
so
he's
he was
known for
coming
not
in,
paying.
Busta, because Busta wasn't Bad Boy.
No,
So he was coming in to do like a
yeah,
feature
he was
section
on a feature
on
yeah.
somebody else's album.
Yeah, exactly.
And he wanted his money up front.
That's right.
Because
Before
he
even
probably
walked in the
knew
room. Exactly.
He knows how
he
the
wasn't
business
going to
goes.
get his
That's how the
money if
business
he
goes,
didn't.
right.
That's
So,
crazy.
Yeah, that's a memorable one. I was like,
Yeah.
that guy knows what he's doing. He comes in, he looks around, he probably saw Puff over there, and he looked at him, and he's like, I'm walking out.
Yeah.
And that was probably his signal, and that's probably how, most people probably don't do that either. They probably just walk in and feel comfortable, but he was like, nah, you need to pay me. So, anyway.
Who else? Give us at least one more name. We need one more. We need one more name here.
So the person that I really enjoyed this is not really somebody you know, but somebody that was really talented that you wouldn't even really know. But there was you ever heard of like ghost producers?
Yeah, they're not named on the album or
Right.
whatever.
So one of the biggest ghost producers for Timberland is this guy named Danger Hands.
Damn, what a name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Probably got that nickname for a reason.
he was like the most down to earth, coolest guy in the world. And
As long as you,
most of the songs that come from Timberland, you'd be surprised that Danger Hands is behind most of them.
yeah,
Yeah, but he was like one of the coolest guys, and then surprisingly, his main engineer was this chick named Marcella, and she went to Full Sail as well, and that's kind of how we made the connection. That was one of my favorite people, Danger Hands, and he
Danger
also
Hands.
most of the beats you hear that you think of Timberland is probably his.
where's Danger Hands out these days?
I don't know, dude.
Brian, Google it. Where's he at? Is he still making stuff?
Let's see.
I mean,
Dude,
I would
what a
assume,
name.
I can't imagine he's not. He crushed it. Or maybe that was his whole MO. Maybe he just didn't want to be in the limelight. Maybe that was his thing. I can see why.
Yeah, so he was only a ghost producer. He
Only a
wasn't
ghost producer.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Because they say
Do you
one
get residuals as a ghost producer?
100%.
Okay.
Publishing.
Yeah, that's
100%.
possible. It's just
Yeah.
not. You're just not named anywhere.
Correct. But yeah, he probably was named on a few, but
Right.
the key is the difference. You want fortune or fame.
Danger.
A lot of people prefer to have the fortune, not the fame. Because when you have the fame, then
Oh,
you're in the
yeah,
limelight,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's harder to kind of navigate, I would assume.
Right. Not just some random podcast in North Carolina is talking about you.
Yeah.
You get a real podcast. Always from Virginia Beach.
Yeah, he's produced and worked with some of the biggest names:
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Timbaland,
Nelly
Britney Spears,
Furtado?
Usher,
Mariah Carey.
T.I., Justin Timberlake, JoJo. I mean, everyone.
Pretty much everything that Timberland's been on, he's been on.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it's going to shake out.
Go
Yeah.
up, go up, go up.
But he was cool. He was probably the most down-to-earth guy. that-
T-Pain, my boy. Diddy.
And Marcella.
Meek Mill.
I can't remember Marcella's last name. But she
Damn.
And just the range.
Dude, that must be like that must have been the connection. Virginia Beach,
Yeah.
Missy Missy Elliott.
I mean, look,
Who else
think,
is from?
look at the
I mean,
range
it's just
here.
Virginia Beach.
He worked with Pink, Meek Mill. I mean,
Yeah, he's a beast.
he's talented.
Dude. That's
He
awesome.
is good.
Let's see what he's got. 2 Grammys.
From Timberlake.
Well, he's part of
Right.
2 Grammys.
Justin Timberlake, 50 Cent. Dude, that guy was everywhere.
Yeah.
That's sick.
But it's crazy when he's there and like he's just rolling through songs that he's made. You're just like, dude, this is crazy. Like this, you're like, dude, like these are all hits. Like
Yeah.
just unleashed. This is like 5 albums of just like ridiculous hits.
Dude, I guess that's a career or something I've never had any closeness to. But how do you like being a good producer? That is like a wild thing
It is.
because you're not the talent, but every talent is like, no, I give this all to whoever the producer is, and it's like,
Yeah.
It's
Well, there's
crazy.
also different producers too. Like so, for instance, like you might just make the music, but then you
Right.
don't do anything else.
yeah,
Right.
or you don't even do both, and you're just like mixing it
Right.
together, right?
Whereas there's other producers that will make it in real time with the artist and collaborate and kind of create the whole song together, right? Very different now. Like remember back in the day, you used to have like
Yeah, do it all.
the same producer for the entire album.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't just be about one song. It'd be about how the whole album kind of flows together, right? How these people work together. Like a Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin is a
Yeah,
great
that's what I was
example
trying to
of
think
that.
of. So
Rick Rubin.
he'd do it all.
Right, like a Rick Rubin on like let me think of a different kind of outside of hip, like a Slipknot, like a Slipknot. Remember, like
Yeah,
Rick
he did
Rubin did
Slipknot.
the Subliminal Verses album.
Yeah.
That album was completely different than anything they did before, but yet it was one of the best albums they've ever had because they used Rick Rubin for the whole thing.
Crazy.
I mean, it doesn't matter what industry it is. It's some people are just system people, and they can take all these people that are talented and put them into a system, and
Right.
you know,
Get the best out.
that's
of
that's what comes to mind when I
Dude,
think
yeah.
about producers.
Especially Rick Rubin.
Yeah, but I digress.
Guy was on everything. But I guess this guy is too. I mean, Madonna, Britney Spears,
Yeah.
T-Pain. Like, I mean,
He's
there's
got-
like,
he's got some
there's like,
credits.
so
He's
like,
not- he's
and they're
not
not
like- yeah.
remotely close to each other in like genres. So it just you have an ear for a hit.
Yeah, he's an animal.
You know, that's there is a lot of difference between T-Pain and Justin Timberlake. You know,
I mean, he's got Katy Perry.
and Usher. Oh my God,
Katy Perry.
I'm not lying. Like I'm telling you, like this guy had songs for years. He had. I just was like, dude, I think you might be the best producer I've ever seen.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I don't know,
Dude,
but
that's so cool.
if I had to pick anybody that I thought had really had not only just artist-wise,
Yeah,
character-wise, just
yeah.
down to
Somebody
earth,
you could just hang out and talk to.
that's him, dude. And
Yeah.
he was the dope. He was the guy.
Yeah. So, shifting a little bit, what brought you to Western North Carolina?
On a whim, dude. I had a friend who just had a baby. God bless. I knew him from back in college. We were together, and we were in Miami, and me and him clicked. And he was doing fitness down in Miami, and I was doing fitness after the music. And he was like, "Hey, man, I was during COVID, and the city got really wild, so we were looking to move anyway." And he said, "Just come on down to Asheville," and I had never heard of it, right? Like most people haven't, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, if you're not from New York, South Florida, Asheville's not on your radar.
it's not.
No.
So, he had told me just come on down, and we came down here for a week, and my wife loved it, and the wife is kind of the boss, so we were moving anyway, but based on kind of what we were looking for, price points, where we kind of saw ourselves in the future,
Quality of life, schools.
I mean, all of those things wrapped into one. I mean, this was the best decision, and most of the business I was doing, I could do remotely anyway. Most of my business is solving problems on the phone. Right, it's very rare that I have to be there in person, but sometimes it's a quadruple effect if I am. But for the most part, I can still earn an income from afar, more or less. So it worked out, and I loved it. It was one of the best decisions we ever made.
No.
Another Florida transplant.
Semi-Florida. No,
Semi-Florida.
No, Philly.
We're all
Semi-Philly.
we're all semi-Florida.
Philly. Yeah. Another was born there.
Yeah, except for my wife.
Oh yeah. GA. Born and bred Floridian.
But Asheville's been it took a while. It's definitely an interesting market. It took a while to kind of learn. Listen, I'm from Philadelphia. We didn't have septics. We don't have wells. I mean, we're drinking the same shitty water. So but all of those things play a major factor.
and it's a lot easier to comp a 1,000 square foot row home that's next to 100 other 1,000 square foot row homes. That's easy.
80% of the time, you could give me a block, or you can give me a street and a block number, and I could probably tell you what it's worth right now, right? That's kind of how easy that was, because it's kind of that compartmentalized that you can almost know what that house is, right?
Right.
And you can know the most amount of money you're going to spend on it. Whereas here, it's not like that, right? So it's like, hey, you got this thing.
Nah, you have no idea.
It's hard to comp houses here.
It's crazy, and I was showing him one that I was just a lead, and I'm like, can you believe that this lot next to this house sold for this amount of money? And he's like, nope. Like, I know, because you can't make any money buying it for that. And then you have to tell somebody else that that's probably not going to sell for the same kind of money that one sold for, because that's an anomaly. And it's almost impossible to explain to somebody that.
Right.
I mean, you can use it as a comp, but you can't use it as a comp for somebody to actually purchase it and think they're going to make some cash on that lot. Yeah. It's wild. And then, you always have your $2 million house that's down the street from, rural North Carolina stuff.
Yeah. And I'm still learning,
I don't think there's a way of not to keep learning here.
There's a lot to take in. There's a lot to process. There's a lot of variables, and there's different demands. So it's one of those things where it is ever changing, right? Because even now we're seeing a little bit of a slowdown, a lot of inventory.
Right.
It's turning into a buyer's market very slowly. It's not as abrupt as it was in like 2008, 2009, but there's just a lot of inventory. Why? I can't tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I think rates drive it mostly. You take away a big buyer pool when someone can't afford a housing payment.
Right.
Especially in this market, the biggest issue is that not really anything to make good money doing here. There's not a lot of jobs. So those who are buying these houses are either retired or they're remote employees.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And so, there's not a population that could support where values have gone. And you're going to see that sit until something happens with rates or values are going to come down. And so I think across our country, in most markets, we're in a buyer's market. You take South Florida, for example, take a lot of Texas.
Yeah,
Our hottest
Texas,
markets.
man, that's a buyer's market. There's
Our
so much
hottest markets
inventory
have
there.
turned into buyer's markets. They flip fast.
Very good.
They flip with supply, man. When you go, I've stopped looking at this stuff, but dude, if you look at some of the markets in Texas, like, I don't know, like San Antonio or whatever, and you see some sort of track home build, there's like 50 houses for sale in there. And you're like, what? And they're all already done, and there's like 50 of them for sale, and they're all been on the market for a year. You're like,
Yeah.
when would you ever be able to sell your house?
Yeah, I don't even know. That's like some you gotta figure out some public
Dude, you
housing.
see it
for that or
though.
something.
You see it all the time. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, very interesting market right now. I'll tell you that.
All right, let's talk about one more random thing. All right, here's what I've been into
Big random.
on the internet the last week that I do not understand: trading cards.
Are they back?
Yeah,
Nice.
insanely bad.
Oh, they've been back.
dude,
Oh
I'm
my
excited.
God, it is crazy, dude. Don't be. It is nuts.
What is it, like Marvel or baseball, basketball? What are you talking
Sport
about?
cards are
Sports
hot.
and like
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
I got Marvel cards. I got holograms.
I used to have old ass Marvel
I got
cards. I don't know where they're
holograms,
at, but they're probably not worth anything. That's the crazy part. Like somebody will pull
That's
these
crazy. The
packs.
Marvel is so big right now. Why
Yeah.
would they not be in more demand? That's crazy to me.
I don't know. I don't know anything
I
about
think the
them.
kids would be all over like the first set of the Marvel cards
Right.
that like released in like 1996.
Dude,
or
I-
whatever.
Oh,
I
I'm
used
sure
to
there's a
have
market
those.
for it.
Yeah, I used to have those. And
Yeah.
Star Wars, I used to have Star Wars cards. Yeah, it's all like people are. I don't understand it. It's crazy, but people are like buying all these packs for like, and they're expensive. Like a box of cards will be like $200, and they'll just open them up and go through them to see if they get anything.
Videotape themselves, and they
Yeah.
get it. They pull a
That's
one on
fun.
one.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fun.
I think it's nostalgia. You think about people who were born in the 80s and 90s. That's what you did for fun, right?
Right.
Yeah, but
so
I agree. But then you go, don't you remember the market just dying?
it's
They
all
had
cyclical.
these like sports
It's all
cards. You're
cyclical,
like,
right.
dude, these things are worth blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And now the new ones are worth more than the old ones, and that's the thing that
That's
I'm
pretty
like,
strange.
what?
That's a little.
So like
strange.
people are getting like these like brand new cards that just got made, and then they send them to get graded, and then they come back.
They still make cards.
Oh, it's huge.
Oh, dude, it's enormous.
Yeah.
They make cards still.
Oh, yeah.
They're-
Big time.
And these cards, they'll pull a card.
We're talking about Pokemon cards.
Oh no,
Yeah.
and then sports
I know, I
cards.
get that.
Sports cards too.
Really.
And they'll pull
Yeah.
a card. But these like they are cool though, because they'll be like signed.
They're already signed.
Or like
Yeah.
a clipping of a jersey will be
Yeah, there'll be
inside
a
of
jersey in it and
Okay,
stuff like
got
that.
it.
Or like three
So
or
there's a
four
little bit
people.
more provenance, I guess. you
Yeah,
could say,
yeah. But then there'll be some random card that's just like a card, and then it'll be like, and they'll be numbered now, so it'll be like,
it. 1 of 30.
yeah, and they'll be like, this card's worth $3,000.
How many 1 of 30s do you think there are?
Yeah. Well, that was the problem
Curiosity.
back in the day. What was it? King Griffey Jr.
Oh yeah, remember that? There was like
They were just making sheets of King Griffey Jr.
Yeah, I
and there'd be
remember
like hundreds of thousands of King Griffey Jr. rookie cards that like got
was that Fleet?
pushed.
What was the name of that company? I think it was Fleet.
Fleer.
Fleer,
Yeah,
Fleer,
yeah.
Fleer,
They
Fleer.
would like throw them out the back to this other guy, and he would sell them. Yeah. What do you think? You
Yeah,
think that's
yeah.
not happening?
And they have like 1 of 1s now. So people are hunting for these 1 of 1 Patrick Mahomes or,
Yeah. And then
LeBron
and they'll say
James.
some dumb,
didn't
like
realize that was the
insane
thing
number,
again.
like this card's worth 60 grand. It's like
60 grand.
Tops just made this card. How is it worth 60 grand? It can't be. And these
supply and
people-
demand, baby.
Right. And I guess it's more popular than
Nostalgia.
the old stuff.
I really think it's
So
nostalgia.
like, would you rather have a brand new Patrick
They're
Mahomes
brand new.
card
They're
or
brand
like
new.
a rookie Jordan?
Listen,
And then
I am not a believer in anything that can be printed on a piece of paper. I'm just not a believer in it.
like cash?
Not even
Yeah.
cash.
Not even cash. I'm not a believer in it.
Nah, it's wild. Yeah, and then like my friend James is like, dude, you need to check out Pokemon. I'm like, no. He's like,
No
just
chance.
look at it And it's
That's
the same
wild.
stuff, man. It's so expensive.
The last
They'll
thing,
open a box, and the box will be worth $5,000. They'll buy a box for $5,000 because it might have a $30,000 card in it.
yeah, it's like playing the lotto.
Yeah.
The last thing
Yeah,
that
it's
we
gambling.
need in our lives is Ryan Turner to have another hobby. Number
No,
one.
I'm never getting in this hobby.
Cards?
It ain't happening. I promise you.
Yeah.
It's a weird one, man. We need to find somebody to talk to us about it that's like actually into it.
Yeah.
I mean, you watches, shoes,
We got to bring a card
golf
enthusiast in here.
clubs.
I haven't bought a golf
Those are
club
good-
in
those are
well
good
over a
things.
year.
What's that?
Those are good things.
Except for when you have 6 lab putters, you can't putt with any of them.
That's
I'm
true.
just-
You
I
have to
sold
get
all
rid
of them other than the one sitting over there, and
All
there's
right.
just only 2 more left.
Those are all sold?
No, those aren't. The other ones were. I'm almost done. Just one keeping, the other ones are going. You know, I'll
I'll
have 2
give you a Ken
putters.
Griffey card for that one.
Rookie?
You got 20 of them?
What's the grade on it? That's the thing. That's the
100.
crazy thing. Yeah, dude, and the only people making money in that thing, well, the producers of the cards.
That's
But
right.
the real company is called PSA, and they grade the cards. So people are sending
Oh, they're getting banged.
tens of, like, hundreds of cards in to see if it gets a good grade. And the more the card is worth, is the more that they charge to grade it.
It's always the servicer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy.
Find the gold mine on the end.
Logan Paul, like him or don't like him, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He is a Pokemon card collector, and he has the most rare Charizard.
Charizard, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
in the
all
world. It's
Charizard.
over. I think he bought it for over $1 million. Don't quote me on the number. I
Yeah.
know it was over $1 million. And
That's pretty wild.
he's nut. They're nuts. But it's worth money. It's a commodity at this point. You probably make money on it.
Yeah. But then you get like, dude, like, what's the old like Ty Cobb tobacco cards from like 1909 that like nobody saved? There's only a few, and they'll be worth $1 million. But then a Pokemon Charizard that was made in like 2000 worth $1 million. That's a thing that like doesn't make any sense to me.
Huh.
But that's my random
Interesting.
stuff of the day that I was like,
Interesting.
so I'll go down some sort of other YouTube rabbit hole next week. I'm done with the sports cards rabbit hole.
Well,
'Cause
look,
it's insane.
this was fun.
It was
Yeah,
fun.
I appreciate
That was
you
a
guys
good
having
one.
me, man.
Thanks,
Good
Mike.
time.
Well, you'll be back.
Yes, sir.
Guarantee it.
All right, everybody.
More bad boy stories
Yes, sir.
and other stuff.
Catch you guys next time.